their idea of a good Nebari on a trident maple is one where the roots start here. And you've got a great big plate of wood, basically, with the roots starting here. And now that's, again, I dare say we probably could find trees like a bit like that in the wild, but for me that's a little bit too much. In fact, it's ugly. Make no bones about it. Very often when the Japanese do that, I just think it's ugly. If you can imagine this as being a big flat lump of wood, basically. It does flow nicely from the trunk base, and certainly they do get roots, you know, literally at every point of the compass from where this base of the trunk come root become. And it's quite interesting the way they actually create this. And again, if we ever get to a point of doing advanced techniques, then we'll talk about that. But that involves grafting in cuttings, which is quite interesting itself. But the Japanese, bearing in mind I said earlier on, I don't make apologies for keep referring to what the Japanese do, because I think we should still be learning from what they do. The Japanese rate the quality of the Nebari very highly where it's appropriate. Now that's an important thing, where it's appropriate. And their view is, if you dig up a juniper from the mountainside, and it's a stunningly beautiful trunk, but it's got no Nebari, then so be it. That's the way it is. And it doesn't matter. They won't downgrade that tree in their minds because it has no Nebari. If you grow a trident maple in your garden or in your nursery, or if you grow a Japanese mountain maple in your nursery or your garden, and you do not put on that tree, you do not do what is necessary to that tree to create a good Nebari, that is a really bad fault. And that is because they think you either didn't do it because you couldn't be bothered, which is bad enough, or you didn't do it because you didn't know how to do it, which again is bad enough. You should learn how to do it. So it's a bad fault. And the better that the better job the nursery has done in creating the Nebari, the more value will be placed on the tree. And actually, Peter Chan, who runs Heron's Bonsai, is probably the leading bonsai nursery in the United Kingdom, certainly still the biggest in terms of sheer stock, did an article for the magazine many years ago, and he said the Japanese approach to Nebari is illustrated in a very good way, that if you're in Japan, like he will be buying some trees to take home for his nursery, and there are 6, for example, trident maples on the nursery bench in front of you, and they're all pretty much like this. They have a lovely trunk, they have great branches, lots and lots of ramification, and they're all the same. If this tree has twice a good Nebari as that one, that one, that one and that one, this tree won't just be twice as expensive. The chances are it's 3 times as expensive as these other ones down, solely because it has an outstandingly good Nebari. That's how important the Japanese think that the Nebari is. And the reason for them thinking that comes back to a very basic principle in bonsai creation. And actually this is, again, it was something I was going to come to later on, but this is so important. We all know the most obvious thing about bonsai creation, which is miniature trees. This is a miniature version of a tree in the landscape. The juniper is a miniature version of a juniper in the landscape. But that is only one of the 2 main and most important aspects of what we're trying to do with bonsai. Because the other thing that we really should be aiming at, along with the miniaturization, is to make miniature trees that look old, that look ancient, if we possibly can. And that's true when you think about it, because if you look through these books here of the best European shows or the best Japanese shows, if you look outside at Ian's collection, there's some of Josh's trees out there. What makes those outstandingly good trees to look at is because they look like very old specimens of trees. Not young trees. I guarantee you will walk past the trees that still look like young trees. They may not actually be young. They may be quite old. But they will have all the characteristics of a tree that is young. It may have smooth bark if a tree that's old has scraggy bark. It might have, like this, the branches may all go straight up to the sky because that's the way a young trident maple will grow. Instead of which an old trident maple, the bottom branches will be being pulled down. That's because over 40 or 50, 60, 100 years, the sheer weight of gravity has pulled these bottom branches down either to level or even maybe below level. The younger branches, because this is forget the trunk from the secondary trunk, this is the oldest branch on this tree. And what should tell you that it's the oldest branch is that it's pretty much level, pulled down by age, and it's also pretty fat. And one slight problem with this tree is that some of the branches up the top here are beginning to get as fat as this branch here. And these are the youngest branches on this tree. They may not be much younger, but they are the youngest branches. And in our stylized tree, these should be quite fine. The youngest branches should be the thinnest branches. And so the idea that you make trees look as old as you possibly can is a driving force that is just about as important as making them small. And we need to, when we think about what is going to make our bonsai look old, we need to think about what kind of a tree it is. Because what makes that juniper look old, the deadwood maybe, is not appropriate for a trident maple. I mean, I'm not saying you would never find some deadwood on a trident maple, that you might well do. But it is not ever going to be the main characteristics on a trident maple that make it look like a really old, mature tree. What are those characteristics? Well, the first thing is going to be this. And you can bear that out. Don't take my word for that. You know, go to your nearest park that's got some great big trees, where the trees have had space to grow, and they're really old trees. I guarantee they're going to have a Nebari. They're going to have roots that they have a big buttress like this, and they're going to have roots that spread out. Ian Young took some pictures on his walk on Sunday, I think, of a beech tree that he saw somewhere with a fabulous Nebari. You know, lots of roots going in every direction. That's why the Japanese think the Nebari is important on a trident maple, because that's what tells you that it's really, really old. And the degree to which the skill, if you like, that characteristic has been applied to this tree is a way of rating how good it is or not how good it is, because it tells the viewer, you know, this is a really old tree. How did I get onto that one? I was going to prepare this.